Hey, what's up? This is Casey with another episode of the show I don't have a name for. Today's shirt of the day is this sweet Watch TV t-shirt from the movie They Live. And my hat, System Skateboarding from my good friend Oakland Childers, who is one of my good mentors. So right now I am a teacher in South Korea. Before I started my teaching career in South Korea, I was a newspaper reporter and editor, and a magazine reporter and editor, and a blog writer and reporter and editor. So that was not always the plan. Originally, I went to school and became an English major because I wanted to be a writer, a novelist. One thing I've always enjoyed, well, if you look at my parents and my grandmother, they're always reading, a newspaper, a mystery novel, whatever. I went to school I wanted to write comic books, and I even interned at Marvel Comics for a semester. So I was an English major with the high hopes of becoming a novelist. And after I graduated, I tried to get a job, and that just didn't work out. I tried to publish a novel, and that didn't work out. So when I was 22, I ended up moving back home with my parents and got a job and moved home. I guess I said that already, but whatever. So, like I said, my parents read all the time. I read all the time. But during English education or whatever, when you're an English major, you read really boring texts. When you're out in the free world, you can read whatever you want. So I was reading stuff like Ernest Hemingway and Mark Twain. And one thing I noticed about them is they started their lives out not as English majors, but as journalists. So I thought, you know what? I don't really have any writing experience except for writing term papers. Maybe what I should do is actually learn how to write, because I don't really know how to do that except for writing boring term papers that I don't even like to read or write. So I decided to go to the University of Colorado and got into their journalism program. It was pretty difficult because I had to study for the GRE and everything and all this other crap. Right? Yeah, GRE. And graduate school is not easy. And even being American and speaking English as my first language, some of the concepts weren't easy. I mean, I was in a class with a Chinese lady and a Mongolian dude, and they scored better than me on some of the tests because some of these tests were so hard. And I think these guys were so smart, that I was one of the dumber kids in the school. I think we had a really tight-knit group. I think there were about 20 or 30 of us in that class. I think, if even, I think maybe 2 out of the 20 or 30 of us even work in the journalism field anymore. I think one of them works in the Washington Post and one of them works somewhere else. I can't even remember. But I started working as an intern at a local newspaper, and then a different local newspaper, and then I worked as a columnist, and I worked later on at one of the most boring magazines you could possibly imagine. But the thing is, I was constantly writing, and that's what I needed. So, as dumb as it sounds, it was the experience that happened. I didn't get into journalism because I wanted to take down the president or because I was a liberal and I wanted to, make my feelings heard. I just wanted to write because because I like to write. My favorite stories weren't, trying to expose anything. My favorite stories were, there's a new cafe opening up. How do you feel about that? I really, some of the things I really enjoyed were movie, because one of my best friends was one of the editors, I got to do movie reviews, which is a real double-edged sword, because you can see great movies, but you also have to see some of the most horrifically terrible movies. They really should have protesters outside of journalism schools and say, don't go in here, don't do this to yourself. This is how much money you'll make. You might as well just get yourself a job at McDonald's because you're going to end up better off and in less student debt. Because it's going to be better off for you. Like I said, out of the 20 or 30 people I went to school with, I think one or two of us have jobs in journalism. I got laid off twice. My old newspaper, the one that I stayed at with for about 3 years, went from a staff of about 20 people to 2. We always relied on interns, which are unpaid slave labor. But I think now that's all the one person actually does is she, just says, okay, you do this, 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 and she doesn't have any time to do anything else. Being a reporter, I thought was really fun. It was fun to get out there and do things. I learned something new every single day, but I honestly, it was certainly difficult. The amount of money is shockingly horrible. I think some people get the idea that every single newspaper writer earns as much as somebody from the New York Times, and that's just not true. That's like assuming every single chef makes as much as somebody at the Four Seasons, which just isn't as true. There are lawyers that don't make very much money. Actors, not all actors make very much money. Being a reporter has really, I'm comfortable speaking in front of people I don't know. I think obviously a much better writer now. But yeah, I put things together better, and I think I'm 2 steps closer to actually finishing that writing that I actually wanted to do, which I wasn't on the path when I left as an undergrad. How am I going to actually get these books and science fiction and fantasy novels finished that I want to do to get my lifelong goal finished? Well, I don't know how that's going to happen, but hopefully I figure that out. But until that happens, I don't know. But thanks for watching. You're the best. And please like and all that other stuff. Please subscribe, okay?